God was here. God is here. God will always be here. There are many times throughout the Mass where we hear that message. Even at the penitential rite that we just went through before the readings. Each of them, if you notice, the first was in the past tense, then the present tense, and then the future tense. God was here. God is here. God will always be here. As Father mentioned last week, we want to focus our homilies during Lent on how we might live a more merciful life within our own families. What are the considerations that we might do? What are the things we might do? Very concrete things that we can do within our own families during this season of Lent to live a more merciful and mercy-filled life. Looking at the readings tonight, especially that first reading, there's something a little strange in that, more than a little strange in that first reading. But I think it's very important because it shows us what we have believed for over 4,000 years in the Jewish and Christian tradition. Namely, that God was here, God is here, God will always be here. So what's going on there? We are introduced to our great patriarch, the great father of the great religions of Judaism and Christianity and Islam, all who claim Abraham as our father in faith. In fact, his name hasn't even been changed yet in the reading we just heard. He's still Abram, the short form of his name. And God has made these promises to Abram. And Abram says, how is this to happen? Kind of like Mary. Huh? How is this to happen? And God tells him what to do. Go get all these various animals and cut them in half. Spread them out. Except for the birds, because they were too small to do it. Well, what was going on there? 4,000 years ago in that culture, if two people wanted to enter into a covenant between each other, including a marriage covenant, the tradition was to literally, the expression in Hebrew is, cut a covenant. And those animals were split, and the people making the covenant would walk between them. And the message is, if I don't live up to my part of the covenant, may what has happened to these animals happen to me. Don't get nervous. And so what we see tonight is very interesting, because Abram is there, he's done what the Lord has commanded, and what happens? What happens is, through those images that are used, God walks alone through those animals. It's not God and Abram walking through as two partners of a covenant. It is God making that sign. God promises. God commits to the covenant. God says, I have always been here for you, I am here for you now, and I will always be here for you. Always. Regardless of how you may or may not live up to the covenant, God always will. That's the commitment that Abram witnesses from Almighty God. How powerful is that? So as we come to look at our own families, and we look at these works of mercy, as I was reflecting on this all week, it dawned on me that one of the ones that jumped out at me was the one about counsel the doubtful. How often in our families do we doubt? I mean, as a married couple, sometimes we doubt, what's the future hold? I don't know what's out there. I'm scared by the future. What is out there? I don't know. Or we face a challenge. Our daughter, for example, has a little baby, as you all know, who's suffering from brain cancer. As they face that, They don't know what the future holds. And they doubt their own ability to deal with it. Young people in a family doubt what is going to happen to them as they get older. They have doubts about school, doubts about life. Opportunities abound for us within our families to counsel the doubtful, to console the doubtful. And how do we do that? So often when we doubt, I think that comes from a lack of hope. It's because we can't figure out how to hope for what's in the future. And so because we lack that sense of hope, we doubt. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if we can make it. And so part of that consoling the doubtful is offering hope. What better message could there be in a family than to say no matter what challenge we are facing, no matter what doubts I might have right now in my heart, God has already been there. God is already here with me. I'm not facing this alone. And God always will be with me at this moment. No matter what the future holds, I won't face it alone. The power of God is with me and with us. Do we communicate that within our families? Are there ways that we can console ourselves and each other more concretely? By saying, look at the evidence of God's presence in our life already. We're not alone in this. We can get through this challenge. Whatever it is, we can do it because our God is already here with us, has already walked that path, has already committed to be here always for us. God was already here. God remains here. God will always